Hey guys, thank you for joining me for another episode of Shockwaves. Hit that subscribe button below if you have not done so already. So I'm going to jump right in. Today we're going to talk about fear. Fear is something that we will always have, but if we can learn how to treat it when we feel fear, it can actually help us progressing toward our goals. So let's start out with, what is fear? So fear is actually an emotion that is induced by a perceived danger or threat. The tough part about that is the word perceived. And so it may be something that's not even real, but if your brain actually perceives it as a threat, it's going to induce that emotion. And so there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing anyone can tell you to take away that fear. It's actually a response that your body is having. And so a good example is, have you ever gone into a dark kitchen at night to grab a drink of water and you actually freak yourself out? Or if you're laying in bed and you think hard enough about having your foot kind of hang over the bed, realistically, there's nothing under your bed. You know that, but you can actually kind of wig yourself out when you think that way. And so you perceive any sort of danger, your body's going to give you a fear response that tells you to either confront the fear or to escape the fear. We've all heard of fight or flight. So you may be thinking, where does this fear come from? So it could actually be a stimulus that's here in the present. It could be an expectation of a future event that could happen, or it could be something that was learned from a past trauma or event that happened to you. And so I want to talk about weight loss, because obviously it's the number one thing that I'm very familiar with, but please understand that this can be applied to any sort of growth or any journey that anyone is actually on. So let's just talk a little bit about weight loss. One of the things that you hear with those who want to progress in their weight loss journey is they may have a fear of attention. And so that's an actual anticipation of something that's to come. And so when they have that fear, they may say, I don't want people looking at me. I'm used to hiding. And that would make me uncomfortable. Another possible expectation of the future is that this progress may come with a new set of problems, such as maybe someone's envious, or maybe that's going to be a break in your friendships. That's all really scary. And so that may also be stopping you from wanting to move forward. The other thing is, there may be a root cause behind the fear emotion that is easier to explain. And I'll just give you an example. There are some people who are uncomfortable losing weight because they may no longer have an excuse as to why they don't want to have sex anymore with their partner. Instead of facing a deeper reasoning why that may not be happening. And so they're just not ready to face it yet, which is okay, but this actually may encourage that root problem to have to come to light, and that person may not be ready. So if you remember, I did talk about, I'm gonna break out my onion again, is peeling that onion and understanding why it's so important to get down to the root cause as to why you may be where you're at or why you're scared to take the next step. And these are the reasons why, because it's most likely going to come up. And honestly, your success and your growth may actually be hinging on solving a root problem versus getting over a perceived fear. And I hate to put quotations around it because it's perceived to everybody else, but when your brain triggers that response, it is real to you, whether it's going to happen or not. And no one can tell you otherwise, because it's your brain and your body's response and no one else's. So one thing we can do to help that along is maybe looking deeper into why we're scared of something and understanding that that may be something that we have to face. And that's the only thing that we have to hurdle, not the actual fear of, in this case, losing weight. The next fear I want to talk about is fear of failure. We've all been there. It is scary to set a goal and then we tell ourselves, if I don't get there, I'm going to feel like crap. And no one wants to feel that way. But here's how I look at this, and this is going to be short and sweet because it's really simple. If you don't go after something, where are you going to be? Right where you are. So that's a guaranteed loss. So instead of even putting 1% into a possible success, which most likely it'll be more than 1%, you are going to guarantee 100% failure if you are staying exactly where you are. And so why not try it? And once again, we'll talk about weight loss. A lot of people, including myself, you have a fear of regaining all this weight back. And for me, it's actually a fear of regaining it again. Because the last time I was there, I said, I'll never go back there again. After extreme weight loss, I said, I will never gain that weight back. Before that, those words even got out of my mouth, I was on my way back up to wherever I landed. But what happened was, I'm choosing this time to not say, oh my gosh, I gained weight back. What a failure. No, I'm going to say, what did I learn last time that I can take and apply this time around? So maybe I don't have to do this again. And just kind of stemming off of that is also keeping realistic expectations. And so if I, once again, I will never tell myself, I'll never gain this weight back again. I will never tell myself that, because that's not realistic. I know that the moment I lose intention with everything I do, that is a very good possibility. And so I'm not going to be scared of it, but because I am able to learn from the last time and apply, I'm going to go after it again. And I'm going to give myself the best percentage to actually succeed this time around than to 100% sit back and know that there's nothing I'm going to do about this and fail. So jumping into, like I said, the realistic expectations. A lot of people have a fear of complete change. They're like, I actually love my life. I love everything around me. I love my family and my friends and my process. I'm just unhappy with where I'm at internally, or even if it is weight loss. Having realistic expectations, and I always encourage people to talk to someone who's been through it, because when you're looking at the whole picture, it is scary. You're like, I don't want to stop going out to dinner for the rest of my life. I want to, I want to be able to go be social, and I want to eat carbs still. And it's scary when you look at it. But when you talk to someone who's been through it, they can actually tell you it is just a step-by-step thing. And if you have an expectation or a fear of having to halt your life, you're not doing it right. You have to find processes that work for you that may have not worked for anybody else. And that is really important in finding success when you are wanting to grow, progress with your life. And so setting that expectation that, you know what, I'm going to give myself every Saturday off. I'm going to make sure I continue to meet up with my friends. And you know what, if that's on a Saturday, great, I'll eat what I want to eat. If it's not, once again, we're talking about weight loss because it's what I know best. But, once again, if it's not a Saturday, I can always modify and make it a healthier option. Your life does not have to halt. And so, like I said, when you look at the big picture, yes, it is a little scary. It's daunting when you're trying to get from A to B and it's a really long distance between the two. That all it is just one step at a time. It's making small changes that you can get to. And when you set those small, realistic expectations, you're going to stay more consistent with it. You're going to say, woo, I hit my goal of walking 5 minutes a day. But if you set out to say, I'm going to run 5 miles a day, and it kills you on your first day, I guarantee you're not going out for the second day. So you have to make it so it fits your life and what you can do in order to make yourself successful and consistent. And so I'm going to snowball that into the expectations that you have of what your journey is going to look like. I cannot stress this enough. In weight loss, you can lose all the weight in the world and you're still going to find something wrong with your body. So stop trying to meet some kind of expectation that comes from society and find a way to go on a journey that's about your health and well-being. This could be weight loss. This could be mental health. This could be any spectrum of things. But whatever journey you're on has to be yours. And you have to know that, once again, let's go back to weight loss. You may not look like J-Lo or a Kardashian when you're done. You are going to do your best for you and for the healthiest version of yourself. And when you try to meet the expectation of society or media, you're going to be let down most of the time. And so you want to avoid this me versus them, because what that'll do is it will actually create resentment. And so you look at someone going, I wanted that just as much as they did. Why do they have it? Or, that's something with starting a business. You see everyone around you. You seem to like hone in on people who are having success. And if you haven't had it yet, it could bring resentment. But you can avoid that by stop doing this comparison and actually look at your own journey and your own path and focus on that alone, because your journey and your road to where you want to get to is not going to be the same as anyone else. And what I want to leave you with is, it's my favorite story. If you know me, you've heard it. Action conquers fear. It was one of the first lessons we learned on extreme weight loss. And we were told to put on our workout clothes. And I remember just feeling so nervous, like, what is going to happen? Like, they have to take it easy on us, right? Like, I'm 300 some odd pounds. We're not going to go do something crazy. So, you're trying to talk yourself out of having that fear, right? That's the perceived fear and in anticipation of something that's coming. That's exactly what that was. So we get dressed and we go down to one of the little rooms in the gym, and they actually tell us, you guys are going to do 7 minutes of burpees. And I'm looking at them going, I can't do one burpee. How are you gonna do 7 minutes? And I'm trying to think in my head, how do you do 5 burpees in 7 minutes? And only you make it that, right? So as they asked for the first round of people, and what they had benches lined up just in case you needed them to get down or to get up. There was no rules on how you could do the burpee. You just got to get down to the floor, and then you eventually got to stand back up. However you got to make it happen, you have to do it. And I remember them asking for the first, heat to kind of go through, and I just like slowly slid myself in the back, like, we're not going to do this. And then in my head, I was also like, just do it and get it done and over with. And it just a plethora of emotions. And so the first round of people went up, and I'm looking at them going, oh my God, they had little buckets there in case you had to throw up. So I'm looking at them just terrified. How are they doing this? And they made it through 7 minutes. And the most amazing part of that was the cheering that was going on in this room. That cheering muted any fear that you had in your head. You were almost like, I want to do this so someone can cheer for me. Like, it was such a good feeling. And so I remember then it was my time up, and I made it through. I don't know how. Yes, there were times where in my mind I doubted I could do it, but somehow it was all the cheering and everyone rooting for you that you did it. And you tell yourself, the person before me got this done. And so you did it. And I remember when they called time, I wanted to throw up, yes. And I wanted to cry, because you don't know your own limits until you do it. And you don't know what fear is actually real. I grew up, and my parents always taught me fear stood for false evidence appearing real. And that is so true. How do you know if you can break through something? How do you know if there's a real threat or danger if you never go out and you never try? And that was such an important lesson, something that will always stick with me, no matter what phase of my journey I'm on. That will always stick with me, that I won't know until I go do my best. I won't know until I fail. In my head, I'm going to tell myself failing's not an option. We don't know that, even though it very realistically could be. But you have to tackle everything in your life as if you won't fail. Because if you don't, you're guaranteed to fail. But if you do, there is a chance that you hit success and that you hit growth and progress, and you actually get to where you want to get to and where you want to be. So don't forget that. Action conquers fear. Stupid sayings, like shoot your shot. Like, shoot for the moon, even if you fail, you fall among the stars. You guys know all those sayings, but they're so true. How do you know unless you go try? So I will leave you guys with that today. Remember, shock yourself, scare yourself. If it's not scary, it's not worth it. And then go on and shock the world. I'll see you guys next week.